Hey guys, welcome back. Today in day one of design pattern series, we will go over understanding design pattern and learn how we could approach to questions coming from interviewer about design patterns and understand how important it is. Okay, so what is design pattern? The simplest question that your interviewer can ask you about design pattern. You need to have a good answer to this to increase your chance. So the short answer is successful solution to problems. This is short and good answer, but it's not enough. You need to impress your interviewer. So try to give them some information, maybe they don't have, or maybe they have, and impress that you know that as well, or you read that book as well. So we picked up this uh, explain for design pattern from design pattern book from Gang of Four by the name of Element of Reusable Object-Oriented Software. This book is for 1994 from Gang of Four. Actually, one of the first books about design pattern, very famous book, just reviewing 23, I believe, classic design pattern, and just categorize on your mind about design patterns. Okay, so Christopher Alexander says each pattern describes a problem which occur over and over again in our environment and then describe the core of the solution to the problem in such a way that you can use this solution a million times over without ever doing it the same way twice. Even though Alexander was talking about patterns in buildings and towns. So you need to know that, okay? What he says is true about object-oriented design patterns. Our solutions are expressed in terms of objects and interfaces instead of walls and doors, but at the core of both kinds of patterns is the solution to a problem in a context. So Christopher was actually is a designer, architecture designer, and he was talking about buildings and towns and his expertise. But his sentence was the basic actually of understanding for design patterns, and pretty true for design pattern. So also from book design patterns, I believe in page 15, yes, we tell us that in general a pattern has four essential elements. So we start to get it more. So yeah, the pattern name. The pattern name is a handle we can use to describe a design problem, its solution and consequence in a word or two. Naming a pattern immediately increases our design vocabulary. It lets us design at a higher level abstraction. Okay? Any sentence here you need to have it in your mind. Having a vocabulary for patterns lets us to talk about them with our colleagues in our documentation and even to ourselves. This is exactly why it is important in interview you have good answer for design patterns because they expecting at least classic design patterns pretty good, because in meetings, in stand-up meetings or even communication, even in documentation, when we say name of design pattern, for example, singleton, bridge, prototype, command, and a lot more. Just this name gonna explain everything. So when you know design pattern, you get this name and your mind being ready for going over. It makes it easier to think about design and communicate them and their trade-offs to others. Finding good names has been one of the hardest part of developing our catalog. Yeah. The problem. The problem described number 2 of essential elements for design pattern. So the problem describes when to apply the pattern. It explains the problem and its context. It might describe a specific design problem, such as how to represent algorithms as objects. It might describe class or object structure that are symptomatic of an inflexible design. Sometimes the problem will include a list of conditions that must be met before it makes sense to apply to the pattern. Okay? Yeah, this is the problem. And other essential, the solution. The solution describes the elements that make up the design, their relationship, responsibilities, and collaborations. The solution doesn't describe a particular concrete design or implementation because a pattern is like a template. So a pattern is like a template that can be applied in many different situations. Instead, the pattern provides an abstract description of a design problem and how a general arrangement of elements, class and object in our case, solve it. Okay, so this is the solution. Also, the fourth one, which is important, the consequence are the results and trade-offs of applying the pattern. Though consequences are often unvoiced when we describe design decision, they are critical for evaluating design alternatives and for understanding the cost and benefits of applying the pattern. So when you apply a pattern, there is some cost, there is some benefit. So there is some cost you need to pay. So there is some, for example, disadvantage and some advantage, okay, of applying the pattern. The consequence for software often concern space and time trades-off. They may address language and implementations issues as well, since reuse is often a factor in object-oriented design. The consequence of a pattern include its impact on a system's flexibility, extensibility, or portability. Listing these consequences explicitly help you understand and evaluate them. So this helps you to understand and evaluate them when you want to decision that choose this design pattern or not. Okay. There are more you can read from book and in different language get idea, but I will jump and I'll go to here. I'll go to page 22, which is a good table for you to learn about where actually each pattern sitting and what they're gonna do for yourself to have it in your mind and then understand them. Okay, so here you will see that we categorize design patterns in two ways, in purpose or in a scope. In a scope could be in class scope or could be in object scope. In purpose could be creational structural, and behavioral. So we will go on either of this. So here we go. This is our page, and yeah, here we go. So for creational design pattern, here I have a very brief description, but if you want to have more or read more, you can go to book and page number I believe, yeah, 83, yes, and learn, more about the creational pattern. So here, very briefly, creational design patterns are concerned with the way of creating objects. These design patterns are used when a decision must be made at the time of instantiation of a class. For example, creating an object of a class. So I have this, short answers to you have it ready for your interviewer, and don't get lost, to say something, in professional way. And other one, structural design pattern, page number 133. So structural design patterns are concerned with how class and objects can be composed to form larger structures. The structural design pattern simplifies the structure by identifying the relationship. These patterns focus on how the class inherit from each other and how they are composed from other classes. Okay, and behavioral design pattern, page number 208. You can get a complete description, and here short answer. Behavioral design pattern. Behavioral design pattern are concerned with the interaction and responsibilities of objects. In these design patterns, the interaction between the objects should be in such a way that they can easily talk to each other and still should be loosely coupled. Loosely coupled. So you may say, what is loosely coupled? I just briefly explain for you. Also, I have appendix video for that. That means the implementation and the client should be loosely coupled in order to avoid hard coding and dependencies. Okay, so that was for behavioral design pattern. Okay, so I'll explain you actually loosely coupled a little bit today. Also, we have a separate video for that. Also, you can find a link to this how you can buy this book from Amazon in comment below, and also to our YouTube channel, GitHub, that give you some part that I spoke it about it in design pattern today. So yeah, let's go into loosely coupled and understanding. So first, you need to understand coupling. Coupling in computer science is considered to be the degree to which each program module relies on other modules, and is also the term used to describe connecting two or more systems. Coupling is broken down into loose coupling, tight coupling, and decoupled. Or loose coupled, tight coupled, and decoupled. Coupling is also used to describe software as well as system. And also called dependency. So as we had loose coupling today, so loose coupling in software terminology, loose coupled refers to the software where routing modules, function, and similar components are executed only as needed and do not run at the launch of the software application and while it's being used. Web service is a type of software application that use loose coupling. Okay, so that was about the coupling. And yeah, I spoke about the book, and in next day we will go over one of the design patterns, and we start to go over all of these one by one. Also, before I finish this video, I would like to go to one sample of design pattern here. For example, page, let's see, 16, no, I think page 3. Yeah, here you go. So factory method, for example, we pick up one method, one design pattern. So factory method design pattern. So you will see, we over this book we will go over intents. We will go over what is the intent of this factory is a method, and what is another name of this method, and give some motivation. You can read about that. And applicability, or when it's we can use this pattern. And structure is very important. You need to know all of these 23 classics, even more design patterns, structure, because from structure you can start your code that you are proficient at. And participants, so these give you actors of these patterns, and what is their role. And collaborations, consequence, and finally implementation and sample code. So sample code, we will it's out of this book. You can find source code in comment below of any video, and it's gonna be in Swift at the beginning, as I'm Swift senior Swift developer, and also as I'm a junior Kotlin developer, and intermediate Java. So I try to implement them in Java and Kotlin as well. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please make sure to give it thumbs up. Also, don't forget to be subscribed for more video coming every day. And you can find the link to GitHub, and also includes source codes and related link to this video in comment below. And if you have any question, please ask in comments below. I will be more than happy to help you if I have answer for that. And I wish the best for you. Have a good one. Bye bye.